This is a clip of a video in 2007. It's a debate between De Souza, a Christian, and an atheist, Daniel Dennett. The title was, "Is God a Man-Made Invention?" This is the first argument of De Souza against the atheist.
Is religion growing? Globally, the answer is yes. In the West, the data is debatable. Europe, of course, is fairly secular. In America, we've certainly seen a resurgent atheism. But worldwide, there's really no debate. Professor Dennett really didn't cite any sources. I'll cite one, the historian Philip Jenkins, his book, The New Christendom. He points out that there is a rapidly growing religious revival throughout the world. I'm from India, and anyone who's from there will tell you that there is Hinduism resurgent in India, not in the number of nominal Hindus, but in the level of devotion. Christianity is spreading like wildfire in Asia and in Africa. In many African countries, the number of Christians 100 years ago was like 5%. Now it's about 50%. I don't know what you call that, but I call it growth. Look at South Korea, a continent that had virtually no Christians several decades ago. It now is over 50% Christian. You've got churches that have 100,000 members. There are tens of thousands of South Korean missionaries that are coming to Europe, and some even to America. Many of the European cities, if you look at the pastors, they're from South Korea. So I just want to begin by saying that I'm happy to have a debate. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but everyone is not entitled to their own facts. Okay, now, to Dan's proposal about teaching religion, my objection is not so much to the proposal as to the sort of dripping elitist contempt in which it is couched. I mean, imagine if I were giving the same course that Professor Dennett gave you in miniature. I would give it very differently. I would say, all right, let's teach all the belief systems in the world, but let's include Dan's belief system, which is in a sense a kind of metaphysically grounded Darwinism. Let's also show the influence of that Darwinism in shaping social Darwinism, sterilization. Let's show the influence of Darwinism in the Nazi movement in Germany. Let's assign Richard Weikart's book From Darwin to Hitler, which shows, for example, that the Nazis were inspired really by two main currents, social Darwinism on the one side and Nietzschean atheism on the other. The combination of the will to power and survival of the fittest were essentially recruiting slogans for the Nazis. I would moreover say that instead of crying crocodile tears about the Inquisition, which occurred 500 years ago, and in which over the space of 350 years, some 2,000 people were killed, which apparently keeps Dan awake at night, let's focus a little bit more on the crimes of atheism, which didn't occur in ancient times. Let's not just focus on the Salem witch trials. We can pick up the tourist guide and realize that despite Arthur Miller's play, the number of people killed in the Salem witch trials was precisely 18. Now that is 18 too many, I'll grant you, but it doesn't even compare to what atheist regimes have done, again, not in ancient times, but in our own lifetime, in the last century. I'm not just talking about Mao in China or Stalin in Russia. I'm also talking about Pol Pot. Here's a guy in the space of 3 years who killed 2 million people. What about Ceausescu, Enver Hoxha, Fidel Castro, Kim Jong-il? Atheist murders in the name of atheism are still going on. Now, Richard Dawkins, in his book, The God Delusion, says, oh yes, but the religious crimes were in the name of religion, but the crimes of atheism were not in the name of atheism. This is kind of what happens when you let a biologist out of the lab. Because here is a guy who has apparently a zero comprehension of history. All you have to do is open up the Communist Manifesto. All you have to do is look at the atheist regimes, which said very explicitly, we want to create a new man and a new utopia, freed from the shackles of traditional religion and traditional morality. So even bin Laden in his wildest dreams could not begin to rival the body count of atheist regimes, which begins not in the thousands or the tens of thousands, but in the millions and the tens of millions. An ocean of blood and a mountain of bodies produced by atheism in recent history. Now, so I think we should include all that in the course. I think it would be a valuable factual addition to what our children should learn.